Okay, so we got some axle stuff going on here. We got a 70U and a 61 here out of a Dodge. A couple different Dodges. And then we have a 60 here. And then we have a 70 dually. So this axle and this one here are from a 92 Dodge truck of some kind. I haven't quite been able to figure that out, but they have the gigantic lug nuts, which is like 1.125 inches. And so here's the difference between a normal lug nut that's on the crew cab. So what I wanted to do here was that 410U over there, I wanted to put the dually in the crew cab, but I have truss down there. Whoops, I'm rubbing on my zipper here. Hopefully it didn't make a bunch of noise. I got trusses here for this axle and this axle. So I got the 70 came with a front cat axle, which is out in the pile right now. This 61 is going to go out in the pile, and then we're going to work on this one. But what I wanted to do here was I wanted to put a dually in the crew cab, because that's awesome. How many dually first-gen crew cabs you ever seen? And I got the stuff here to do it. What is dripping all over the place? Like brake fluid. It's got to be brake fluid. So I did a little bit of digging around here. See, this is a 354, and it has a power lock in it. And we have a 410U over here with a power lock in it. And so the difference between a 70 and a 70U is there's a couple little bits of difference. The ring and pinions are basically the same. The difference is the U uses different size pinion bearings. They're a little bit different. Also, see, this axle here is from a 94. So this is the end of the generation, and this is the beginning of the generation. The next generation. This came out of a gas 3500 V10 truck, so it came with 410s. Most of the diesels came with 354s for the most part, and this one here is a first gen without overdrive, I think, so it has 307s in it, so that's why it's a 61. The pinion's way offset, so this is going to get put away for now, and we're going to end up using this one here. So anyway, differences between the 70U and the dually 70. So what I wanted to do was, basically my plan was to take the dually hubs off of this, which one of them's still on the drum and one of them's over there, and I just wanted to put them on this thing, put disc brakes on it, shove it in the truck, and call it good. Did a little bit of looking, lots of varying information out there. So the axles are different lengths. The dually is a little bit longer. They're both 32 spline. The 35 spline, you can tell it's a 35 because it has studs here and it uses the conical washers. That's the difference between the 35 and the 32. You can just look at it and know by the way it's set up, because these have bolts. The 35 splines will have studs. You'll be able to tell the difference. So this right here is the single hub on the dually, and you can see it's pushed way in there, and also the tube lines up directly with the face here. So this is a dually axle, and you can see it bottoms out inside the tube there, and it also doesn't come quite enough to the end. So this whole assembly is a little bit machined differently than the dually hub, so the whole thing is pushed over, and it won't work in its current state. You'd have to put some sort of a spacer or something in there to push this whole hub assembly out. And with the dually and the single hubs, it's actually about 2 inches, 1.5 inches wider, so you'd end up with a gigantic footprint there. So I did a little bit more looking and comparing, and so I took the dually hub and the single hub and just kind of compared them a little bit. It's measuring, and so the U spindle compared to the 70, it has the overall length from here to here is the same. The difference is the U has a smaller bearing surface here and a larger sealing surface. The dually has a bigger bearing surface here and a smaller sealing surface. And I can't really tell here, but the inside diameter of these are the same, but the outside of this bearing is bigger, and you can also see the seal is bigger. And so you put this on there and think, wow, I mean, that should work, right? It's pretty close, but the way that you kind of see from here, maybe this bearing is in further than this bearing. So when you put it on, you get what you get there. It actually, this butt end actually ends up sitting in too far. Now I put this on here and it seems like it would work, but it seems like, maybe it's just overkill because these tiny little studs here versus those big ones, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Like I said, my plan was to just take this 410 gear axle and put these hubs on it and stick it in there and go, but that's not going to work because the axles are different lengths and the hubs are different lengths. So I think what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to take the 410 gears out of this, get a bearing kit for it, just stick it in the dually axle tube assembly, put it all together, and then just stick that whole thing in the Dodge one, and then I'll end up using this for the Jeep project, because another benefit is that it has the rounded bottom, whereas the 70 has a little bit of a lip there. So we shall see. I'm trying to get this without spending a lot of money, but either way, the Wheeler project's gonna end up with 513, so I'm gonna have to get gears anyway, so I might as well take the 410s I got, stick them in that, and just put it in the truck. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? The other thing I got to do is get wheels for it, and I got the Ironman 35s on it, and so I'm kind of sketched out about putting a 12.5-inch tire on a 6.5-inch rim. These 16s won't be used because I'm not going to try and buy a whole nother set of, well, I mean, I'm going to have to buy a whole nother set of rims, but I don't want 16s. I want big, Carolina squat is not what I want. I want to keep the mud tires on it because I don't drive the thing on the road. I haul with it every once in a while, but it never goes on the road. It's not a long hauler. I just pull the car trailer with it every once in a while, so I want to be able to still drive through the mud and stuff. So yeah, just a quick little comparison here because I searched the webs and there's a lot of conflicting information out there. Can it be done? Some say yeah, some say no. So maybe if this 70 and that 70 were of the same generation, 91 to 93, which is what these are, and then a 94 and up. Maybe if they were the same generation, it might work, but as far as the 91 to 93 and the 94 and up, they are not compatible. It does not fit together. I'm sure the power locks and all that stuff are the same, but as far as the overall lengths and the machining on the ends here, I mean, if you had enough time to sit down and do it, maybe it would be possible, but I'm not gonna mess with it. So I think this guy right here is going to end up in the Jeep with that guy right there. That's a just a standard Kingpin, front 60, but it's got a little bit more beef to it than your normal. It's got these eccentric adjusters on here, which I didn't even know existed until about a day ago. And there's some other pieces hanging on here, and there was also airbags on this sucker, which was pretty cool. I mean, it looks like the guy, wherever it came from, hauled a lot of stuff. So I'm going to put the dually stuff back on this guy, and we're just gonna roll him outside for now, and then proceed from there. But if I think of anything else, we'll come back later.